When it comes to Shark Tank, there are a few exceptions that the viewer and the sharks themselves have to go and understand. Not the least of which is that there are going to be some people who are more out to just get money from the sharks rather than actually bring forth an item of worth. And these scams have been prevalent since day one of the Shark Tank in some ways. The sharks, especially Mark Cuban, are never afraid to call them out and put them in their place so the sharks can get on with their lives.
What you gonna do with one shoelace? Let me in on the secret.
So allow us to show you how Shark Tank's Mark Cuban calls out the sleaziest frauds. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. 8. Rolodoc. When it comes to medicine, you can't be false in any way or people will get hurt or conned. Which, trust us, this happens a lot and it's honestly one of the sadder parts of our society. So when two doctors, and yes, they were real doctors, tried to pitch a social network of doctors for patients, the sharks were not only mad, Mark Cuban was ticked. He literally got up and shook their hands and said that they'd given the worst pitch ever for Shark Tank. He told CNBC, "Typically, I don't like to be mean to entrepreneurs, but these were two doctors who I think thought they could just know us and mislead us in thinking that because they're doctors, they're smarter than all of us. And while the sharks have gotten animated in the past, this was different." Mark was clearly furious and didn't want anything to do with these schmucks, and made that clear from the get-go. So if you're able to do that with Mark Cuban, yeah, you're doing something wrong, and this isn't the only time when Cuban and the sharks went after fakes. 7. The Skinny Mirror. Belinda James appeared on Season 8 to sell the sharks a skinny mirror, a custom mirror targeted to women that makes the viewer appear slimmer. James valued the business at $1 million, asking for $200,000 in exchange for 20% of her company. The sharks heavily criticized the product for not only perpetrating society's body image issues, but also not even being particularly original. Plus, another shark noted the mirrors are already out on the market. They're in fun houses. The truth is, you're lying to people. I'm out. But I also forbid any other shark from investing in this. And when he said that, it was over. What's worse than a scam? A scam that tries to harm people when they're not even using it. 6. Vest packs. Two guys came in and revealed that their daughter invented an alternative to backpacks, called vest packs, when she was 12, which she then won an entrepreneur award for, and even got into Oprah as a result. As if that wasn't enough, the item was able to make its way into Walmart. While the idea may sound clever in certain ways, there's honestly nothing wrong with the backpack, and the Vestapack aren't the most stylish thing ever, and that resulted in terrible sales. But wait, that's not the twist. The twist is that when the daughter invented it, she was 12, in 2003. So by the time the guys came to pitch their idea, she was 27. The sharks left, and no deal was made. 5. No-fly cone. The no-fly cone is a re-imaging of the traditional glue-based fly trap. In fact, the no-fly cone looks better than other traps as the flies are trapped in the dome, which hides the fact that there are fly carcasses inside. Bruce Gaither seemed to have something going for him. After all, Bruce had a real problem with huge number of flies in his barn due to the presence of his dogs and horses. The problem? The attractant for the no-fly cone is dog manure. Naturally, he didn't do a deal despite certain sharks saying that they should partake in one reason or another. To be fair, this really wasn't a scam, more like a dumb idea doomed to fail, and it did. 4. No phone. What's stupider than having a bad idea that makes no sense? Pitching an item that is literally nothing but a piece of plastic and stating that it's the next big thing. Two guys came in and pitched the no phone as this generation's version of the pet rock. But again, it was just a hunk of plastic that was supposed to help you keep you off your phone. Except that wouldn't work because that means you have to carry it around all the time to be a viable substitute. Not only did sharks refuse to make a deal with them, for very good reasons obviously, but they also went and questioned why they were brought on the show, and the audience agreed. The audience blasted ABC for letting this onto Shark Tank when other legitimate ideas could go and be heard. So it's a scam in an item, and a scam in it that took valuable time. 3. Squirrel Boss. Squirrel Boss is a squirrel-proof bird feeder that uses static shocks as a deterrent, which sounds very violent, and it is. Funnily enough, the sharks took turns trying out being electrocuted by the contraption. They were all shocked as the power of the Squirrel Boss was more than they anticipated. What's more, as they dug into the product itself, they found it had a key flaw. Mainly, you have to activate the shock. It's not a reacting device. Not very convenient. They also discovered that Michael DeSanti was not able to secure a patent for his product. He deflected this, but anyone who watches Shark Tank knows that not having the patent is almost always a deal breaker. Funnily enough, he did get investments from other sources before Shark Tank, and was able to pay back some of it, but also used it for terrible marketing strategies that didn't help at all. Michael asked $130,000 for 40% of his company, but did not get a penny from the Sharks. The Sharks were perhaps right not to do this deal, as the product has since reviewed numerous complaints in the Better Business Bureau and Amazon websites. Plus, don't forget about PETA. The Sharks themselves were taken aback by the power of the electric shock. So how do you think the squirrels feel? It's an animal rights violation in every way, and thus from start to finish, this is a dumb idea and clearly a scam. 2. Bedrider. There are multiple things they need to do in order to have a successful Shark Tank pitch. You need to have a product worth investing in. You need to be able to sell the product well, and just as important, you need to be able to answer the Sharks' questions to a reasonable degree, else be left in the dust. For George Conway, you could argue that he had 2 of those 3, but the third one was lacking, and it's not the one you think. He had a product called Bedrider that was a safety seat for the back of pickup trucks. Thus, a good product to invest in theory. George himself was animated and had a good sales pitch. But when he asked questions about his product, he couldn't answer there straightly, including not confirming whether he honestly tested his product to a good extent. Which is kind of important in this case. As a result, the Sharks didn't invest in him because they couldn't trust what he was saying or selling. When you leave the tank, I want you to take that truck and drive it off a cliff, Kevin O'Leary told him. 1. Ionic ear. There's some really odd ideas out there in the world today, but in the case of Darren Johnson, he thought it was a good idea to go to the Shark Tank with the Ionic ear, a Bluetooth device that would be implanted just below your ear. As in the literal sense of the word, you need to have it literally implanted into the head for it to work. The device would contain a microphone, speaker, and a battery. When your battery runs low, you simply plug the AC adapter into the charging port, where it's located conveniently inside your ear. Darren went into the Shark Tank asking for $1 million for a 15% stake in his company. The Sharks had a hard time taking this one seriously, and they all dropped out as soon as they understood what he was pitching. What are the problems with this device? The customers would have to go get the product, then schedule a surgery so they can put it in their head, which would cost a lot, no doubt. And if there was a new model they had to have another surgery just to take the original taken out and a new one put in. There's no way the FDA would approve such a device, and the Sharks knew it. It's one of the weirdest scams in Shark Tank history, and we're glad it's on the market. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at the times where Mark Cuban and the other Sharks called out various inventors for their scams and sent them packing as a result? Are you happy that the Sharks didn't hold back and sent the wannabes home? Do you wish that Shark Tank did a bit more vetting so that these scams wouldn't even be put on the air? Do you know another scam from Shark Tank that should be on this list? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.